We're now with the Metropolitan Transit Authority, MTA, and Paul, if you could introduce yourself and your colleagues and then make whatever preliminary statement about your budget you'd like.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start by introducing the chairman of our Finance and Audit Committee, Marian Ott, who's been here for many of these presentations over the years. We're pleased to have her with us today. We have other board members who will arrive momentarily. Freddie O'Connell, our board chair, Jeffrey Arbor, our vice chair, and Louis Levine. Gail Williams is away today and couldn't be here. Filling in for Ed Oliphant today is Shelley McElhaney. Ed Oliphant is off on spring break. He has his daughter looking at colleges and so on, so I gave him the week off. So
let's call him.
Well, I told him to be on stand.
I think we're fine with Sherry. I think
it depends on how difficult the questions are. But Shelley's pretty sharp.
I think so.
She's pretty sharp. And also I have with me today several of our staff members. Behind me, Don Disler, who handles operations and maintenance, Bob Balzer, who handles administration, Patricia Harris-Moorhead, who handles communications, Eric Byer, our Easy Ride coordinator and legislative liaison, and then Laura Balzer, who handles the Regional Transportation Authority matters. Well, Mayor Dean, Deputy Mayor Highnote, and Mr. Riebling. Mayor Dean, once again, I want to thank you for your consistent leadership in so many ways on public transportation issues. From your leadership of the Middle Tennessee Mayor's Caucus, your chairmanship of the Regional Transportation Authority, your monthly rides on the different routes of the system in your Mayor on Board program, to your commuting to and from your office on your own neighborhood bus route, you have demonstrated a long-standing personal commitment to public transportation, as well as a commitment in your role as Chief Executive of our city. That commitment, along with the constant support of the Metro Council, has brought public transportation in Nashville and Middle Tennessee to a level of service and ridership that has not been achieved in modern times. Your critical support last year at this time is allowing us on this coming Sunday and Monday to expand transit services throughout the city. A new BRT light service begins on Murfreesboro Pike, which is modeled after the highly successful BRT light service on Gallatin Pike. New hybrid articulated coaches will operate every 15 minutes all day long, serving the busiest 16 bus stops between Music City Central and Hickory Hollow area. Passengers will experience a faster trip, and the on-time performance issues that we have experienced recently on Murfreesboro Pike should be a thing of the past. Just as we do on Gallatin Pike, a local bus route will serve the stops between the BRT light stops from Music City Central all the way to Hickory Hollow. We're also beefing up our airport service this weekend with earlier and later trips during the week. Our downtown routing is being adjusted to better serve the hotels, and we will begin serving the convention center directly to and from the airport with a Music City Center stop on 6th Avenue at the center. Our free downtown Music City circuit is also being adjusted this weekend to serve the convention center, and our purple circuit is being adjusted to connect the Metro Courthouse directly with the Fulton Complex, while continuing to connect with the other two circuit routes at Riverfront Train Station. The last of the routes that have been paired together on nights and weekends for many years will be separated at last, and every bus route in our system will operate on the same routing all the time. The new bus routes we instituted last fall are doing extremely well. The new University Connector, a crosstown route, which originates near TSU, coming across the new 28th 31st Avenue Bridge and crossing several of our bus routes on its way to Green Hills Mall, is now providing 7,500 monthly trips, which is a phenomenal record for a new bus route. That just is working out extremely well. Expanding the number of buses on our Dickerson bus route to deal with crowding issues and expansion of service to Hunters Lane and Whites Creek High School also has resulted in increased ridership. Last fiscal year, we passed the 10 million annual ridership mark for the first time in decades, and in the current fiscal year, we'll surpass 10.5 million rides when the fiscal year comes to a close on June 30th. Our signature project, the East-West Connector, is moving along nicely in its planning process. As a reminder, in anticipation of the construction of this fixed guideway corridor, we have expanded services along the Broadway West End corridor as a result of a federal grant that we won. This grant allowed us to increase frequency in the corridor, as well as introducing expanded service to Bellevue with additional trips during the day, as well as the first night and weekend service to Bellevue in at least 10 years. The expanded service in this corridor is allowing us to build ridership in advance for what is the most exciting project we're currently working on at MTA. I'm very pleased to report that the public has responded to this increased level of transit service in the Broadway West End corridor. And just this past month, this corridor has now edged out Nolensville Pike as the third busiest ridership route in our system.
So West End, Broadway has moved into the third
Number
spot.
3 spot.
Behind Gallatin Road
And Murfreesboro.
Murfreesboro.
Yes, sir. And these top 4 routes are then followed by Charlotte, Dickerson, and Bordeaux in that order. So those are our top 7 routes in the system for ridership. We're wrapping up the second phase of the project as we complete the 30% preliminary engineering plans and the environmental studies required to move to the next phase, final engineering. We'll be meeting with our federal funding partners in Washington in another week and brief them on our project as we get closer to actually applying for the funds to build this fixed guideway project from 5 Points in East Nashville to White Bridge Road area in West Nashville. In closing, the board and I earnestly solicit your support of our funding requests for the coming year. Our request will permit us to sustain the expansions of the current fiscal year, as well as cover the increased expenses associated with fuel costs and health expenses. We're not planning any service expansions in fiscal year 2014. We view this next year as a year of refining the details of our existing services, completion of a new 5-year master plan to guide us through the next several years, and will focus with intensity on the requirements of engineering, funding, and building the East-West Connector. As the MTA board and management team have pledged in the past, we'll continue to provide the highest levels and quality of transit service possible based on the financial support that we receive. Thank you again for all of your past help and support, and we look forward to working with you in the year ahead.
Great. Thank you. So well, a couple of things. Let me ask you about. First, we received a grant for electric buses.
Yes, sir.
And what's the status of that, and where will they run, and how do they run other than they're on electricity? How do you charge them and all that?
That's really also a very exciting project. As you know, the Federal Transit Administration and its administrator came to Nashville and actually presented us a check for over $3 million to fund a significant portion of that. And we're actually going out to bid right now for the vehicles, and these vehicles will operate in our Music City Circuit, which is the free circulator that's based out of Riverfront Station. They will be electric powered. There'll be a charging station at Riverfront. It'll be a quick charge. We'll also have charging at the bus garage, but they'll be quick charged in between runs, and they'll replace the existing hybrid coaches that are operating on the circuit. There are 3 circuit routes: the blue, the green, and the purple. The blue goes up to the farmer's market, the green goes out to the Gulch, and then the purple, as I talked about earlier, is being expanded. Right now it goes between Riverfront train station and the Howard campus, Fulton campus, and with this change starting Monday, it will connect the courthouse to the Fulton campus. So we think there's a great synergy in getting people moving between the 2 buildings as well.
Okay, and these electric buses, one of the things that, I had the opportunity to ride on one with you, and one of the things that I think most excited about them is obviously there's the environmental aspect of it, but they're very, very quiet. And so if you're used to urban life, the image of a bus coming by, belching black smoke and roaring down the road where you can't, your conversation...
Mayor, I don't have that image.
I'm thinking of my college days in New York now, but this is it is so quiet. I mean, actually, the issue is whether you hear it coming or not. I mean, it is a total transformation of transportation in an urban environment that, in terms of noise issues. Yes. And then environmental issues, of course, it's self-evident what they do.
Right, and the hybrid got us partway there because the hybrids are much quieter than your standard bus because you don't have that acceleration loudness. So we're getting better all the time as far as quietness and.
But I'm excited by that. So
yes,
and so we'll be seeing those sometime in the next year or so. Or
yes,
that'll be great. And then on Murfreesboro Road, we have the BRT light, and then for the folks at home, BRT light is Bus Rapid Transit Light. I don't know whether we coined that term or whether it existed before we did the Gallatin Road one. But essentially what BRT is Bus Rapid Transit, buses that go greater distance between stops. are equipped with light extenders, which essentially means that as that bus approaches a green light, the light is extended so the bus can get through it, so it's able to get from point A to point B more rapidly.
And maintain the schedule.
And to maintain the schedule. And the stops for the bus, as evidenced by what we did on Gallatin Road, are nicer, have real-time information, and they're kind of more of a part of the built environment. And we're completing that now on Murfreesboro Road.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And the light part of this is that unlike what's planned on the East-West Connector, there's not a dedicated lane.
That's correct. The buses move in regular traffic
Right.
on Murfreesboro.
And if you go around the country, you can think, you hear the term BRT a lot, and you see it in different cities. In many cities, you see BRT being used as on Gallatin Road, where there's not a dedicated lane.
That's correct.
The terms get confusing at times. But Gallatin Road has been a huge success.
Very, very successful. Yes, sir. And we've patterned the Murfreesboro BRT light exactly the same way we did Gallatin. So.
And the significance of Gallatin Road for those who don't ride that bus is if you started out at Rivergate Mall and then came in all the way to Music City Central on the pre-existing bus line or the local now, how many stops do you do?
It was over 100.
And I think you and
Potential
I
stops.
Right.
We've ridden that.
You and I have done that.
Yes, we have.
It's a nice journey, but it's a longer journey. And if you take the BRT light on Gallatin Road, how many stops do we do?
14.
14, and it's a much reduced stop,
Yes,
much
sir.
reduced journey, and it has a natural appeal to folks. So on Murfreesboro Road, it now will run from Hickory Hollow area to Music City Central.
Yes.
And how many stops does the current?
It's also over 100.
Right.
And but now the buses don't stop at every one of those
Right.
hundreds.
It's gotta be
not
someone
somewhere
there. Right.
So for
Right.
people who are listening, we don't want them to think that they stop at the place. 'Cause
Well, and you need the local service because
Exactly.
people are getting off at a variety of points in the bus.
Right.
But then how many stops will be on the BRT line?
on Murfreesboro is 16.
16.
So-
And do you have a sense of the ride time?
Yes, the normal trip takes somewhere between 57 and 59 minutes, and this one will cut it back to 44 to 46 minutes. So it's actually, on a percentage basis, a pretty significant time savings.
And then,
And it also helped us to reestablish, we've had a lot of problems keeping the buses on schedule out there just because of increased congestion and the ridership. And so this will allow us, with the additional resources and the additional trips, to get back on schedule.
right, and these Gallatin, Murfreesboro, top two bus routes in
That's
terms
correct.
of people using them.
1 and 2.
Right. And then for West End, this would be the actual dedicated lane. This would be the
Yes, sir.
full deal. Are the bus station stops ready on Murfreesboro Road, or?
There are 32 stops, and all but 8 will be ready on Monday. We're still doing some construction and wrapping those up, connecting electricity and so on. So all but 8 of the stops will be ready. The buses will still be able to stop there, but the construction just won't be complete.
Okay. And then, let me ask you about bus passes. This is something I guess my first year in office, we offered to the employees of the metropolitan government that you have a card that you can enter buses without charge, and the city pays. And that's universities are doing it, state of Tennessee is doing it, a variety of private businesses are doing it. How is that program going?
Extremely well. When I talk to groups, I make the statement that the number one way we've built ridership in Nashville is through the Easy Ride program, which is the employer paying for employees to ride the buses. Early on, we started with Vanderbilt. We're currently billing them 45 to 50,000 trips every single month. The state of Tennessee participates. They're in the same range. Metro government participates. We have other universities, Lipscomb, Belmont. We have a lot of private businesses that participate on smaller scales, but it's the number one way we've built ridership in Nashville.
And businesses, universities, others who are
Across the board.
interested ought to contact you. And the great advantage of this is Paul and I spend time once a month riding the bus together.
I'm aware of that.
So
It's quality time.
it's quality. So I've learned that the biggest delay on buses is the time that is spent people entering the bus, people having to
Paying
find
and-
change
right.
and working out how they get on. You have the card, did it this morning,
Tap it.
yeah. And for instance, the bus I'm on, the number 7, the one I take, there's a lot of state people on it, Metro people, Vanderbilt folks, other businesses downtown, and it really works seamlessly.
Yes, about 70% of our ridership utilizes some form of prepaid media, smart card, a swipe card that we sell. If we didn't have that high percentage, it'd be very difficult to maintain the schedules that we have. So, because it takes so much time. It's about 7 taps of a smart card for someone stepping up, unfolding the dollar bill,
Right.
getting the coins out of the pocket, and I mean, we can board, as I said, 7 people in the time it takes someone to go through that process. So we work very, very hard to partner with businesses and to sell our media in the community off bus.
And I guess I would close my remarks by, again, complimenting your staff, not only the folks that we work with regularly in terms of budgetary issues and working on the East-West connector, but and I say this really sincerely, you've got great people driving your buses. The atmosphere on the buses are clean, people are friendly, people like their bus drivers. It's sort of like when you transfer a bus driver, if they move around, it's sort of an issue for a couple days, like why
This
is that-
weekend, Mayor.
Yeah.
This weekend.
What happened to our friend? But it's a huge number of people get on and off the bus saying hello or goodbye and thank you to the bus driver because of the enjoying the experience. And just my own personal testimony is that they do a great job, and the buses are comfortable, clean, on time, and you run a good program
Thank
with
you,
good
Mayor.
people.
Thank you, Mayor.
Rich, I'd yield my time to you. As do I.
Well, one other thought. I was on the bus this morning.
Smarter than I look.
There are. Is there any? Does Metro departments have any special rates in terms of advertising or ability to put things on buses?
Well, that's a very good question. Actually, yes. We have a nonprofit arrangement, which, in fact, the Arts Commission frequently, Jen
Right.
Cole and the Arts Commission uses it regularly, where we can put interior signage, and the only cost is the actual production of the signs on the inside of the bus. So we have a number of Metro agencies that have taken advantage of that over the years, and so that's available to Metro departments. Yes, sir.
Well, I was just thinking that some of the things that we work on, the healthy living, encouraging people to live.
We've done that.
Yeah.
Dr.
and
Paul, we've worked with Dr. Paul on that.
libraries, the citywide reads, arts programs. I think it's a good way to get people excited about something that's going on in the city would be for us to maybe do more of that.
And we have free books coming up next week on our Mayor on Board. The Life of Pi book
Yeah.
is
Life-
coming up Thursday morning.
We're doing Life of Pi tonight at Bongo Java.
Oh,
If you're free, come by.
That's tonight, by
That's
the way.
tonight.
Tonight, okay.
Okay. Well, I'm enthusiastic about what you do, obviously, so
Thank you very much.
thank you. And any of you, Freddie, have anything you want to say, or Marion, Lewis?
Thank you for your support.
Good board, too. They're all transportation lovers. I mean, what you do is vital to the future of the city, and I think.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.